All right, good morning, everyone. It's morning, right? Everybody have fun last night? Yeah? Okay. Is everybody awake? My name is Shawn Ameli. I'm the Director of Service Creation globally. So what I do is pretty much help partners, customers build new services. Or if you're a customer and you want to see a service that augments your business better, you come to us, we help you build that service, or we outsource it to one of our partners to build that service for you. So in today's session, we're going to be talking about how you secure and safeguard sensitive enterprise data with VeloCloud SASE. We're kind of excited about this because it's our new SASE offering. So with that said, let's get into it. And also, I'm going to go through this really quick so we could have our partner actually show how we did this in real life environment. Because what's the point of having theory without application? Generic disclaimer. You're more than welcome to read through all that. So what we are doing now, it's kind of interesting. I'm sure you'll start hearing about the edge compute stack, our intelligent overlay on our network. So basically what we're doing is within the SDE, which is the software-defined edge group, our new group within Broadcom, we're offering 3 different products, right? So we have the edge compute stack, you have that intelligent overlay in the middle, and finally the network piece of it. Now, with the edge compute stack, it's basically running your workloads at the edge. We're not talking about that today. We are talking about the intelligent overlay, which also includes the VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN, the SOTA client, which is our SD access client, and the secure and the SSE component, which is now secured by Symantec. And lastly, it's our network. So basically, if you are a telco and want to run applications on the RAN or on the core, you could also leverage our technology. So with that said, what does that kind of look like? Looks like a 3-layer cake, right? We like to call it the cookie effect, where you have the edge compute on the top, the middle is that intelligent overlay holding that cookie together, and the bottom piece is the network. Now, we like to call this a different name, but we weren't allowed to, so we just call it the cookie. You could kind of tell what that looks like, right? It's all over the place, but yeah, so we got the cookie effect going on. But in today's agenda, we're going to look at some of the challenges, how SASE is defined, our VeloCloud SASE secured by Symantec, why VeloCloud SASE secured by Symantec, and I'm going to introduce Perfect Packet. Our partner is sitting right in the back patiently waiting, so without further ado, I will get into the presentation. So what are some of our challenges? We've got 54% of companies are saying cybersecurity is more difficult than 2 years ago, right? So, and we all know this because it's just, your threat vectors are getting more and more wide. We have a lot of different things coming into the picture. And you got 47% of enterprises using tools from 11 or more security vendors, right? And God forbid if you're using that other one that just went down a couple of weeks ago, right? I mean, yeah. That wasn't fun. I got stuck at the airport because of that. But, nonetheless, it does happen. Somebody released code, so now we're having fun with that. 41% have seen increase in the rate of remote workers. And, I like working from home, but I don't like, when I'm working from home, I really don't want to be, using 300 different security platforms just to get into one application. And 45% managing multiple security products strain their resources. And we all know that's true, right? So I've seen many customers, whether I was here or in my prior life at AT&T, I used to work at, within our managed security practice. And, there was a lot of customers that were not only spending a lot of money on security products, but they're also spending a lot of money on managing those security products. And honestly, at the end of the day, what was happening is they had so many security products merged together, they kind of lost track of like what's what. And, it was just a more difficult environment for them to manage. Now, let's look at SASE. There's been a lot of different things out there with respect to SASE. And, just because you have a firewall, it doesn't mean you're a SASE provider, right? There's a lot of firewall vendors that, saw this need to have, a SASE product because Gartner defined it. And, they have a firewall. They did some load balancing on that firewall within links, and they said, oh, I got SASE. But here's the true meaning of SASE. So SASE is composed of 2 different components. One is the network, and then the second part is the SSE component, right? The secure service edge. Now, on the network side, you kind of need continuous monitoring, dynamic application steering, dynamic multipath optimization, on-demand remediation, quality of service, and SaaS acceleration. So if we really look at some of the SASE players out there, I'm not going to even name names, but the way we kind of constructed our network element, we have all of those components. If you really look at VeloCloud as a whole, we have those components built intrinsically into our core. Because of our gateways and how they are working with other SaaS providers and IaaS providers, those are automatically built in. So without you having to lift a finger, it's already intrinsically been built into our gateways. Now, if you want more information on that, we're more than glad to speak to you thereafter, but that's already built. Now, the SSE component is our SWG, our ZTNA approach, our CASB, Cloud Access Security Provider, and this is where I'm really excited is our Firewall as a Service that came intrinsically with our Symantec. So now you have Firewall as a Service already built in, but should you want to run a firewall at the edge, you could also do that. Our edges have a full layer 7 stateful firewall and high-risk isolation and decryption. So you put all of those together and you've got a new SASE package that we're proud to offer. Now, all of those are also meeting the guidelines of how Gartner defines SASE. So if you look at currently, this is brand new product, but as we advance through the Gartner quadrant, you will start seeing that we meet all of these components. Now, VeloCloud SASE secured by Symantec. So this is kind of like the environment right now. You've got customers, distributed workforce, distributed enterprise edge apps, and all of that. So how do you bring those synergies together? The problem is that if you have, for example, an old traditional firewall and you're building that overlay, now that overlay needs to be built within multiple different data centers, right? So if you have a lot of different locations, you kind of don't want to put it all in one basket. I live in Los Angeles, right? So if I have everything and the only place that I put it in is Los Angeles, that backhaul just continually gets slower and you have a lot of latency, for example, if you're going to Sao Paulo or if you're going to London. So you really want to be able to build that architecture across the world so you bring your data closer to your employees or your users. Also, you have the choice with the applications. You want to bring those closer as well. So instead of you having to build out this entire network and deploy it in multiple different data centers, here we've done that for you. Within our gateways, we have everything built, and now everything can go to the SASE POP, and from there, go out, which accelerates your data, and there's other considerations coming down the line. You will start hearing more and more about our eventual proliferation of our gateways inside GCP, and that is happening as we speak, right? So we're going to be putting some of our gateways inside Google. So you start seeing this data become more and more accelerated. Now, the good thing about that is you could pick up a data here in Vegas, like 7135 South Decatur, if anybody knows where that is, which is the super NAP, and drop it off in China all on a private backbone. And you'll start seeing that become more and more prevalent out there as we put this data inside the Google Cloud. Now, you also have a couple of different ways of accessing this data. Not only can you do your remote users, you have your software-defined edge, and you have your mobile edge. So remember that cookie we were talking about? This kind of gives us the capability of doing that all across the different platforms. I could put it on my IoT devices, I could put it on my home users, I could put it on my office users via our VeloCloud Edge, or if I have my edge compute stack, the VNF can easily run on that edge compute stack and also connect that data for faster connectivity and more resilient connectivity. All going through our SASE POP, and accessing all your data across multiple different resources, SaaS, IaaS, web, and your traditional data center. Now, we originally, when we launched this product, it was done on another platform, and we're really happy about putting it on Symantec. I do admit, Symantec doesn't market itself that well, but if you've known how long Symantec has been around, they have the deepest threat legs. So as we go through these are some of the key attributes of the Symantec. Top 13 global banks, all protected by Symantec. Fortune 500, 60% of them are Symantec. 96% of them, 96% customer satisfaction rate, over 40,000 install base. Leading R&D investment. So every single year, we invest heavily into the security platforms. 3,200 software patents, 20% of revenue invested in R&D, 300 plus threat researchers, and 1 billion data security analyzed daily. And here's kind of the timeline of how Symantec came to be, right? So in 2007, they added data loss prevention through Vontu. In 2015, Swig and CASB through Blue Coat. A lot of folks know that Blue Coat. 2016, web isolation through fiberglass, and 2020, risk analytics through Bay Dynamics. Now, why VeloCloud SASE, right? So, everybody has SASE. Why makes us so special? Features and key benefits. So, as you can see, these are the different solutions that we have within our SSE platform, and it's integrated with best-in-class VeloCloud SD-WAN. We all know we've always led in the Magic Quadrant as far as SD-WAN capabilities. Adopted by high-risk and compliance-prone customers, and comprehensive threat and data protection. I will say that as you start researching this, and don't take my word for it, but as you start researching our DLP and CASB, you'll see it's bar none one of the best out there. One of the best out there. A lot of banks use it. A lot of different entities use Symantec DLP and CASB. Combine that with best-in-class SD-WAN, and you will see that it is by far one of the best solutions out there if you're looking to move to a SASE platform. Move. No? Oh. Yeah. Consistent policy, yeah, so that's fine. Now, previously we talked about how hard it is to manage all this. If you have multiple different data solutions, and here you can see you just manage everything from a single portal and make life a lot easier. It also reduces burden on SOC operations, right? 41.7 billion WIP requests and 48 million blocked. 2.5 billion files scanned, 8,000 blocked, 539,000 files sandboxed, and 389 identified for investigation, compared to 4,000 before Symantec. So what this product does, since its threat lakes are so deep, it'll actually pick that data up a lot better. So a SOC, God forbid, something comes through, a SOC can actually pick those up automatically and remediate a lot better than before, which makes life a lot easier on your SOC operations. Proactive threat protection. Largest civilian threat intelligence platform, and this is what I keep alluding to. Security and threat data gathering, analysis and detection, and rapid prevention. So what does that mean? That means it's protecting you against zero-day and evolving threats. 1 billion telemetry data from 157 countries analyzed, 46 billion URLs analyzed, and focus is prevention, not just detection. Because what's the point of detecting if you're not preventing? It's like, hey, I got this, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to let it go through. So it actually is a very robust platform. I've seen testing done on this compared to other SSE providers, and this by far started catching more. And if you guys are interested in deploying this solution, we'd be more than glad to do a POC with you. Whether through one of our partners or a direct POC, we could definitely show you all this and provide those proof points. Now, tighter security, high-risk isolation, this is where it gets really cool. 250,000 websites created daily, right? With risks unknown. How are you as an IT person going to know which nefarious websites are out there? Well, the beauty of it is, whether it gets created here in the US or creates somewhere else in a different time zone, considering we're always monitoring these, chances are we'll find them and we will actually proactively add it to the threat lake for you automatically. Isolation from zero-day evolving threats, safe browsing experience, all of it is available at zero charge. Once you get that license, everything's already included, so you don't have to worry about constantly updating your firewall policies, constantly updating any of your policies across the board. The DLP, like I keep saying, it is by far one of the best ones out there. And if you don't know what DLP is something that is super helpful when you're dealing with sensitive data. It prevents credential theft, confidential data theft, compliance with international regulations like GDPR. Anybody here deal with GDPR? One? How about PCI or any other health? Yeah, okay. So if you do deal with all that, it is very cool because when I go to my doctor's office, I don't want somebody to leak out my driver's license or all that. So basically what DLP does, if somebody's trying to do it at network side, it'll block that for you automatically. And it'll send you as an IT person a warning saying, hey, this guy is trying to send this information out. You might want to do something about it. Image and pattern detection. So for example, if you have an image of something, it'll automatically capture that image and it'll know, hey, somebody's trying to take the picture of a credit card. I'm going to block it for you. And integrated with Microsoft Information Protection, MIP, and protect sensitive data in all MIP protected products. Comprehensive reports. This is an eye chart. When a perfect packet comes up here, they actually have the different screenshots of how this thing works. They've actually been installing it for customers. They're one of our partners that actually has been proactively selling this to customers. So they've been also installing it and getting it going. And this is where my presentation ends. I'm sorry I went through this fast, but I really want to give Perfect Packet the time to come up here and fully display how they built this. And so you guys can actually see how this is built, what the screenshots look like, and get a better sense of how you implement this. So without further ado, our friends from Perfect Packet. You're welcome. You're going to take the stand? Perfect.
Hi, everybody. Mike Burke, Director of Operations at Perfect Packet. So I'm going to walk you through some of the configurations that we did, not only on the edge, but also at the Secure Web Gateway and how it integrates with the VeloCloud solution. So who we are, Perfect Packet, we've been a VeloCloud partner since 2015. Obviously, that went through VMware as well as Broadcom. We've continued that relationship with them. We've deployed and managed over 4,000 edges, and that's pretty much across every continent and every state. We are a participant in the VMware WAN Insiders program, and we generate roughly $48 million annually in UCaaS and ISP services. At our core, we are a telecom broker. And then we found VeloCloud, and it just fit in with our already business model. Here's some of our customers. A lot of our bigger ones, as well as some of the ones that have been very long customers of ours. So we got a couple of use cases we wanted to go over, specifically around VeloCloud solution and how we layered on Secure Web Gateway. And a lot of these customers, again, have been longtime customers, through and through. First one is Lifelong Medical. They're a healthcare facility out of California, have 41 hospital facilities with 10 remote clinics. They've been a VeloCloud customer since 2020. We've saved them over hundreds of thousands of dollars in ISP costs, reduced network outages, and increased bandwidth at each of their locations by 300%. They wanted to replace Cisco Umbrella due to the cost support and internal resources. This customer, actually, when I met them, were doing, it says 11 different application testing. They were actually in 17 different POCs with different security measures. We were able to condense those down, put them on CWS, as well as, get them off of, all of their POCs. That was fun. They are migrating to Secure Web Gateway, and it's going to be something that, should be an easy migration considering we already have all of the applications built out. It was a single interface, low cost, low internal resource cost, trusted partner. The next one is Community Care of West Virginia. They're the ones I'm actually going to be focusing on when some of the screenshots. They're also a healthcare facility out of West Virginia. They have 70 locations. They came from 2 disjoint MPLS providers. They all backhauled to 2 main data centers, which then egressed out of firewalls. We were able to collapse that, give them DIA connections, which was something that was a difficult task in West Virginia, specifically because they were in rural locations. And we were able to reduce their network outages. They have a very small IT team. They are, publicly funded. So it was something that cost was always a major issue for them. We were able to increase their bandwidth, just with the different providers. They were on 10 meg MPLSs. We were able to obviously give them DIA connections that went up to 50, 100, 200 in some of their more less rural places. They were an early adoption of CWS as well, Workspace ONE, Secure Access. They were pretty much completely bought into the VeloCloud VMware solution. They did start migrating to Secure Web Gateway as well. That's the screenshots I'm going to show you. This is the customer that I'm going to say is 90% up. They are migrating to the ZTNA product as well. I'm a huge fan of it, and I don't just say that because, obviously with the relationship, the more I dove into it, the more comfortable I got about it, the more excited I got about it. I'm going to try to put that in my voice, but I'm an IT guy through and through, and I'm extremely nervous, if you guys couldn't tell. So they did add web isolation, DLP, and CASB. This is a customer that takes their security posture very seriously. They have to run in schools and in these different pop-up facilities. So, being able to control that data is something that they needed to have complete control over. And with Secure Web Gateway, we were able to do that. So this is just the web page. I'm going to go into first how we secured the edges. With 5.2, VeloCloud released the enhanced firewall features, which includes the intrusion detection prevention. It is Saracata at its core. It actually loads the feeds on the VeloCloud edges themselves. I believe it to be a nice, stable set of feeds that they subscribe the customers to. It's not something modular that you're able to pick and choose. If I have any pfSense users out there, you guys know that you can subscribe to the different feeds that you choose. And sometimes you can make a fatal step by subscribing to the wrong one and shut down your network. I do believe VeloCloud picked a stable set of feeds to subscribe to and put it on the boxes themselves. They are coming out in 6.0 with URL filtering, malicious IP filtering. One thing I'll point out as an early adopter is it does use a lot more resources on the VeloCloud edges themselves. So, you're stuck with saying, hey, should you get a bigger box or should you push this out to the cloud? Now, intrusion detection and prevention, there is no alternative. That has to be on the edge itself. But like Shawn mentioned, it does have a stateful firewall that is an explicit denial inbound. So, you already have that protection. What they allow in is a different story. But the ones that do the intrusion detection prevention on top of it, at least gives them that warm, comfy blanket that, they're being protected. Here's one of the 46 edges that is turned on. You'll see, it is working in the background, over 3,000 threats detected. You can see on the right there, the threat severity. It will give you a breakdown of what the actual threats are, later on. So how to connect VeloCloud solution to Secure Web Gateway. And I really do expect this to change as the GCP migration finishes up. But right now, it's directly from the edge to the POP that you choose of Secure Web Gateway. They are globally distributed. They have a huge footprint in pretty much every other continent. The US, the one blind spot that I just want to call out is Florida. I live in Florida, and I backhaul to South Carolina, but South Carolina backhaul I found to be less than 5% bandwidth degradation. But as you can see, these are active tunnels. So this specific site of Community Care of West Virginia has 3 internet connections. We were able to stand up 3 active tunnels to the Secure Web Gateway for this filtering. And they are acting as active, meaning they're going to do what the VeloCloud does best and pick the link best for that flow, whether it be huge file upload, RTP traffic. It's going to be looking at all the statistics of ping times, latency, jitter, and it's going to pick the best specific link for that traffic. So the good thing about the VeloCloud being the cloud onboarding device is it allows you to pick and choose where you want to send that traffic, down to the application, down to the source, down to the destination. And it allows you to pick different circuits. This customer has TVs in their lobby. So, you see the YouTube and the Disney Plus. It's something that they didn't want filtered through Cloud Web Security because they didn't want to open an IT ticket and take up somebody's time because Bob couldn't get to Disney Plus. So they went ahead and sent that traffic direct over that VLAN, and then they backhauled all other traffic. So they're able to pick and choose what application, what source, what destination. You can do it by VLAN, or you can just go by application like this customer did. All right, so the Cloud Secure Web Gateway portal, this is the opening page of it, which they call the dashboard. So as you can see, one of the big things about the jump from CWS, which is understitching of Venlo, to Secure Web Gateway by Symantec, is the reporting is head and shoulders above what CWS was. It was something that the customers were asking for. We weren't able to provide. I will also say that if there's any blocks, it's a lot easier to detect as an IT guy, what that block is actually happening. CWS, it was a lot of digging and, a lot of time put into it. This allowed us to reduce time for the support side of it. So as Shawn said, there's many different layers here for the secure web gateway. The first one is the cloud firewall, which I'm going to go into. This allows you to block ports outbound from the edge itself. So if you didn't want users to use proxy anonymizers or different ports to get around your security, you could block those here and pretty much kill all of those connections. This does work. In my lab, I have this pretty much set up so that it blocks all my VPN type of services. And I find this to be an important addition to CWS. CWS did not have this feature. As you can see, the different ports, you can block DNS if you don't want them using their own DNS servers or proxy anonymizers. Again, you can pick and choose which ports you want blocked outbound. So this one is the SSL inspection. You're able to obviously inspect SSL traffic. It does require a certificate if you do deploy it. One of the gotchas here that a lot of people don't think about is what that looks like for that customer's devices, whether they have iPads, iPhones. We have a ranching facility that has, machinery that does IoT stuff. You just have to be able to put the SSL certificate from the secure web gateway on those devices. So when you're deploying this and you do bypasses, you're able to do it by username, by VLANs, by source, by destination. So you can pick and choose what you filter and what you want inspected and what you don't. Just know that, it typically isn't a blanket all inspect everything. So the next one is the threat protection. I use this 2 layers. One is it allows you to, pick your moderate, risky, and cautionary levels of threats. They used to use a company called BrightCloud to categorize their threats or their websites, and BrightCloud would upgrade or update their database as new websites came on board, and allowed them to put a risk score next to it and block it just off of that. You can also do this by category. So, if you wanted to block malicious content or spam or phishing sites, botnets, you can do that from this interface right here. And then obviously you can also do geofencing with China, Russia, South Korea, whatever, your security posture is for the global side of that. So content filtering, this is, pretty basic. It was in CWS. It was something that we do find to be extremely helpful. Again, this is something that wasn't on the edge. A lot of customers asked for it to be able to block the biggest, what I'm going to say threat categories, but really, porn, gambling, proxies and anonymizers. That's where this section really comes into play. It allows you to pick and choose instead of picking certain URLs, certain domains, certain IP subnets to block. It allows you to put a category on it and just block it across the board. You can also do proxy restrictions. They just came out with a full application here. You can just say no proxy anonymizers. I'm not allowing that protocol. You can also do safe search. If you wanted to lock it down to Google Safe Search, you could do that as well. That way your users only use Google, and you could even, again, lock it down to Safe Search. Here's what some of the block pages look like. I love this, and the reason being is where it was with CWS, you would just get a block page. You wouldn't get any information as to which rule it hit, where, why, how. This gives you the URL you went to, the client ID, which AIR ID, which is the Cloud Firewall G4 rule that it hit. So it made troubleshooting a whole lot easier as to, hey, this is a business critical application website tool. I need access to it. I was able to go in and see exactly what it hit and be able to mitigate it. Here's another one with the geofencing. This is the government in Russia website. I have it blocked at CCWV. So again, the geofencing works as well. and it's nice and clean, and there's no error pages. It just loads with exactly what's happening. So this is a generic screenshot off of the CASB feature, the Cloud SOC. I wanted to protect a little bit of sensitive data here, but I'm going to use one of my lab pictures here in a minute. But this is the type of detail you get. You get to see which users are going to which applications, how much they're going to it, your top users of those applications. It allows you to really get a baseline for your network. And the baseline is important with the Cloud SOC because it's intuitively looking at those baselines and looking for abnormalities. So if somebody makes a bulk upload, it wants to catch it. And if they're leaking sensitive data, that's another thing that you're going to get alerts on. And I'm going to go into how you set up those different policies. So as you can see, you can go ahead and call a rule and have it look for the DLP violations that you pick. And then, it will automatically look for personally identifiable information and give you alerts at those if those are ever breached. Here's one from my lab. Again, it puts a risk score over every application. That risk score is also taking into account that what you're doing in that application. So if I was going into Google Drive or OneDrive or any of those applications doing malicious stuff that directly violates my policy, that risk score will be much higher. So you can see DigiCert and Skype and Mixpanel are all at the cautionary level, where all the other ones are green. Again, I just generated some generic traffic to get an idea of what that looks like. But if there was a red threat there, it would allow you to break it down by user, by time, by history, and see how much they're doing it, how much they're abusing it, and that baseline is going to be set for that user. So here's just another breakdown of the bits and bytes that you actually get to see. One of the things I like about this is the average duration. If somebody was doing something malicious, you would be able to see how long they did it for. And how many actions it took to do it. You can also, just go right from here to create rules around it. If it's something that you noticed and you didn't necessarily account for in a rule-based policy, you can go in there. Off the left there, under the audit, you get the summary, services, users, destinations. Again, the reporting here is hands down one of the best that I've seen. So, what you're able to drill down to, show customers, show users what they're doing, how they're doing it, and why we're talking to them. You really come with data and you can show, even with the alerts, what they're doing. Again, as an admin, as somebody who's monitoring the security threats of the customers, you need to know about it probably sooner rather than later. You can get those alerts, whether it be by email, text. You can put admin groups, whatever you want to do in here. You're able to configure it so that you guys get the alerts real time as they're coming. That is the end of the thing. So. Again, I'm an IT guy. I just want to call that out. First time publicly speaking.
So guys, we have a little bit of time. Any questions or any comments? Please, we have 7 minutes. No? Oh, yes, sir.
First of all, confession, about 60% of that went over my head. Nevertheless, Cloud Secure Web Gateway, would you be able to say how that compares with, say, Cloud Gateway with Spring Security, what it does, where it fits in the overall picture?
Spring Security?
Spring Security on a Spring Cloud Gateway instance as an edge server.
See, that 60% went over your head, and I've never heard of Spring Security. Is that another product?
You've never heard of Spring Security?
No, I have not.
Spring Security is a framework that secures Spring Boot.
Have you?
No, unfortunately, I can't specifically say that, but obviously, when we do go in, we're also a Zscaler Gold partner. We're also a Cloudflare Gold partner. Those are our major ones. I will say that Secure Web Gateway is winning in those battlefields, at least from our standpoint. So, apples to apples, if we're talking Zscaler Secure Web Gateway, and you're looking at, hundreds of thousands of dollars that Zscaler is costing, they know they used to be the gorilla in the room. I think that space between the competitors are starting to shorten. And it's something that, again, they're winning in live environments. So again, I can't speak to that one specifically, but I can say the other major brands out there, this one's winning.
But you're probably going to have my contact information. That gets pushed out usually. If you want to do that, we do have battle cards against all the major ones, right? But if you want to see it against Spring Security, the actual SOC and NOC people I know very well within Symantec. So if you want to see something like that done, we could definitely take it to them and see how it compares if you're truly interested.
Yeah, I guess where I'm coming from is this is all very high level enterprise things, hundreds of servers, clouds, all the rest of it. I'm coming from the perspective of an application developer, somebody who actually writes code for individual specialized niche applications, which have their own, role-based authorization rules
And signatures and what have you, right?
Implemented at a low granular level, and that's where something like Spring Security comes in. But then when you start moving that up the chain, you need Spring Cloud Gateway or.
I'm definitely up for that because you never know where that's going to come up in a conversation. As our partners and everybody goes out there, a lot of our partners and a lot of customers really do swim within the channels. In March, we're going to have channel partners here, and how many people come for that. So definitely, if that comes up and we need to explore it, I'd be more than glad to have that conversation with you. Yep. Now 4 minutes left. Either we give you 4 minutes back, or I'll be more than glad to take more questions.
How do you guys typically handle a customer that asks for segmentation or DMZing of servers and that such using the cloud gateway since it's not phone-based?
Yeah, so you can do segments on the VeloCloud specifically. You can also do it by AD VLANs. You can migrate it to different secure web gateways. We do have a customer that does that type of posturing with their DMZ, but it's something that you could create different rule sets for those different ones. You still have to create the backhaul. You still have to get that traffic to the cloud. But that's how we typically do it. The segments on the VeloCloud create those VRFs on the edge itself, and then it has two different routing tables. So you're able to create two different rule sets on the edge itself, and then now you just have to have the environment to keep it secure, right? And we create two different containers of that environment to have different rules and different abilities for those servers.
So if you've got users that have to access a server, you keep everything in global segment and just ACL it all.
So, typically the way that we do that is on-prem on the customer switch itself, and we leak those ACLs on the customer switch. If it's something that's local, a lot of customers that do that have VPN inside. The ZTNA product comes in real handy because you're able to put that connector on the host, give them access through whether it be SAML or however they're authenticating, and then they have access to it on the outside. But internally, we ask the customer and I design them to do the switch side. That way they.
No IDS or IPS across, or do you use something on top of the AWS?
So we have the edge sit on the VeloCloud sit on the edge. So it's doing the IDS IPS on the IPs itself. When they come in, they're already authenticated through the ZTNA. So we look at that as a trusted application. So if they're ever coming in from a public IP, it's something that, they're going to have to allow the ports in, have it, authenticate somehow with some sort of SAML or whatever, and then be onboarded to those systems.
Shawn, when it comes to zone-based, has that been discussed, or is that something you guys looked at adding?
Zone-based? Yeah. On the firewall, on the stateful firewall? I hate to say that. I hate this term, but it's on the roadmap. Trust me, I do not like saying on the roadmap. I speak in definitives usually. I'm pretty binary, but it is on the roadmap.
And micro and macro segmentation, something customers do ask for. Yeah.
I think we're at time. Thank you everybody for attending. It was a really pleasure meeting everybody. I'm Shawn Ameli, Mike Burke. We're around. If you guys have any questions or want to get a hold of us, please email us and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Have a great day, everyone.